All right, we are back. I don't want to make it too long. All right, it will be boring. I will just break down to the second part over here. Second part for us before we go into the chapter for today. Why I'm doing this again? I'm just trying to guide you to do your project. I don't know why again some of you are puzzled up on what to do. It should be very clear, but never mind. I'm just trying my best over here to guide you and see um, to guide you to see how it is interrelated and it is not out of nowhere. I'm not calling you to create things out of nowhere. They are all there, they are all in place already. You just need to piece them out. All right, you just need to piece them up, and then you just really need to just sit down and think. Really need to just sit down and think on how do you gonna give a solution and how you're gonna build a solution. All right, we are now doing the thinking time, right? We're doing the thinking time. And now the second stage over here is the structured system analysis. After getting done the first stage, we are doing the second stage. Over here is after you know your problem, after you know set your objectives, and now you go into understanding. All right, you're gonna go into understanding the current state. All right, the current state of what? Of the problem. All right, of the company. All right, of the company, how they are actually facing this problem. Just now we just know the problem in general. They have like their problem with processing their information is not recorded, but we don't know how they actually perform the transaction recording, right? We are not sure how they do their farming as well. We are not sure why their productivity is not there, why their records of their transactions is not there. We're not sure. We just know that they're just telling you that they have problem with their stocks, their hours time, they have problem in keep track of their informations, and they are all just general kind of problem. So to solve that, or to solve that, we need to do is we need to go down and study their business process cycle. All right, we need to go down and study their process. All right, let me just write down again, right? Business process cycle. All right, we need to know that, right? We need to know this business process cycle. All right, and we can't just go and check it out. We need to frame them. We need to document them, right? We need to document them to ensure that we can understand the situation. So over here, I gave you the narration. The narrations. Is it correct? Did I spell right? Narration. Right, narrations of the business process cycle, and from here we use one of the tool. We use a documentation tool. We use the BPMN. All right, business process model and notations. Is it correct? Am I saying the correct? Let me just check over here. I just want to confirm this, double confirm that what is it? Business process model and notation. Yep. I'm giving the thing that I'm saying it right. All right. So here, what we do is we visualize out. All right. Here's the problem. Here's the scope. Here's the objectives. Then we're going to do is we're going to visualize out. Visualized the business process cycle. All right. The not any other business process cycle, the as is. All right, as is means current state, without the before the intervention, right? Before the solution given, all right, so that we can further understand, all right, the scope over here, the problem. Go down here, go down, and we can visualize what's the problem. And over here we will draw out the diagram as you have learned in the lab 2. You have learned this one. We will draw out the process basically over here, and from this process, so let's say we got this and then we got this one. I'm just making it simply like that so we can detect the gap, risk, or issues, all right, of the current state. Okay, this is where you do the as is analysis on the business process model and notations. All right, then over here you will try to map all of this detected gap. Then you will do the system collection. So over here is interrelated, very important. From the problem, just put the dotted line over here, down to this problem to detect the gap. Of course, problem through the objectives, right, where you decide where for you to focus on your scope, right? Then you detect the gap. Then over here, from this gap, you will start to question how to improve. So what is missing? All right, you're gonna have this kind of questions. All right, like for example, you're missing out the information about the temperature of the farm in the system. All right, how to improve? You need to add the informations on this temperature to capture maybe a prediction, right, to predict your harvest time, something like that, right? Or what is missing, all right? Or maybe between the clerk and the farmer manager, all right, there is a missing in terms of communications where the purchase of the supplies is not communicated to the farm clerk for them to pay accordingly, or if there's any changes in the quantities, it's not communicated accordingly, so they need a system. All right, so how to improve? What do they need? They need a proper informations regarding about if there is a changes in the order, so the clerk will automatically know and they don't pursue this manager again or the supplier again if the item is not enough. All right, so you should have over here have a vague idea on how or what kind of requirement you need, all right, to close this gap. All right, to close this gap, you might need additional informations on, let's say, the customer, the supplier order, and if there is changes in the supplier order, the system should allow the manager to update and give alert to the clerk. All right, so over here is the system requirements collections. All right, this one, okay, this is another big major thing. This match this and this is supposed to be mapped together. All right, let me just check the time again. It's already 10 minutes. All right, so it's mapped together. Over here you should begin to should begin to draft out what kind of thing you want to build for your solution. All right, your solution, if let's say you want to manage the communication between the sales, the farm manager with the clerk, the farm clerk, for them to have a proper communication through the system, where the system will have a proper management of the orders. Then over here you should list down the requirement already, like these are the functional requirement and these are the non-functional requirements. Functional requirement, I want to have the system to keep track of the supplier name, supplier quantity, what they are ordering, and then if there's any changes, there should be a special functions for you to add in or amend, and those special functions should have the output where the alert, it should have an alert to the clerk, so that the clerk will have a notification, something like that, and when the supplier sends the items, they can match accordingly. All right, this kind of collections, all right, this kind of things, the pre-planned before we go to the design. All right, the design, which is today, right, that we're gonna talk about, and that's it. Then you extend over here. I want you to extend the preliminary analysis. Extend, all right, the feasibility assessment. All right, assessment. Okay, over here is the as is. This is what I talk about, the as is, which is what you're supposed to do. All right, you need to sit down with your group. All right, you need to think about what kind of go back to this thing over here. Right, you need to do something. All right, if you don't do anything, all right, it means you need to go back over to here, the process flow that I gave to you. All right, you need to look at it, and then you're going to think, you're going to see what you can do to improve, all right, or to solve this thing, all right, to make it better. All right, you're going to go over here and think, all right, and this is where it differs between groups. All right, certain group might want to just focus on this and that. That's where it goes back to your objectives. All right, goes back to your objectives. It goes back to how you scope your problem. And a good team should be very comprehensive. You should really know, you should have covered the whole thing. The best team will provide a solution, a working solution to solve this problem over here, to digitalize the whole farm, to make it smart, and to digitalize the whole process. All right, and that is that's the best. All right, if you can digitalize the whole thing, you can give a full solution, and it's clear from the first stage until the end. Automatically you will get full marks, right? Automatically you will get the best marks. Full marks will be like really perfect. All right, you're gonna have the thing working, everything is going to be so good. All right, but if you can't, then there's no choice, right? But you have 20% in the team, so if you if you are giving me like a 1% job out of the 20%, then you're gonna expect your result would be bad, right? That's the thing, right? That's the thing. You need to go down and really decide. You need to go down and really discuss. All right, go and discuss within your team on providing the most optimal solutions for this village over here. Okay, now we go on to the following part, which is the buy and build or the system selection. This is actually a bonus part, which pretty much really focused on, for you to extend the feasibility study, you can actually use this part over here, right? On the economic finance. Over here, what happened in some part of the farm, all right, the farm over here, if you want to introduce the IoT, so over here you can say that you can outsource, you can suggest outsource, you can suggest buying the sensor plus the other micro controller to input, so that to capture the data, right? And then you need to do the budget. I need to calculate if you're going to do this one, then you're going to do the budget, how much you're gonna cost, and then you can say from here you can say maybe you need to do some calculation, right? Let's say you want to provide you break down your solution, let's say, to 10 parts. What do you mean by 10 parts? Means like part 1 is on maybe the recording of the sales, the recording of the mushrooms, the temperature, the sensor, right? Part 2 maybe is on the harvesting, all right? All of this going to be connected, all right? Then part 3 maybe on delivering to the process village. Part 4 maybe on the processing of the informations, where it captures the water use, the oil use, or whatever use. Then maybe in certain part of the solution, go back to this one, all right? This one is where you're going to detect the gap, right? Detect the gap, you're gonna, from the gap over here, it goes back again to the objectives, right? And then maybe 5 parts is on the farm, another 5 parts of solutions that you're going to incorporate is in the processing. Then maybe out of these 10 parts, 3 is you're going to buy, and then 7 is build. So you're going to do something like this, all right? You're gonna put analysis, you're gonna show it out clearly, all right, what happened over here. Okay.